Well, guys, I'm still working on this here. Almost done with it. I still have to tuck all this down inside. I got to finish trimming it off. I got to cut it down, cut it, tuck it, finish pasting it or spray adhesive. I dropped it on the floor, not the unit, but the carpet, so it's got kind of dust and dog hair on it. But I figure I'm going to, same color as the van inside, so that works out just fine. I'm going to leave it just like that. Like I say, you know, it's only something to hold the radios. I'm not looking for a showpiece. You know, this, I'm going to lift this piece of ABS off over here, which is going to be the cup holders. And I'm going to tuck it up underneath, so when I put it back down, I'll have a nice clean edge. It'll be easier than trying to cut up to it. So I got enough slack so I can just pull it right over. So I'll take care of that. The CB is hooked up. The modulator echo box is hooked up. The VHF marine radio, this is a marine radio, this is hooked up. The dual bander's hooked up. I put a swivel on it so no matter what side of the van I'm on, I can talk on it. You know, for traveling to Florida and the wife's driving, I feel like just talking. You know, I'll turn it that way and talk. The marine radio's here only because if I get a call and I may have to respond for some reason or another, I use it for that other than using the handheld. I still have room to put another radio in, which I may, and then the other ICOM will go in under here, under this one, and it'll mount just like that, so that'll be over here. And then I still have this room here for, like I say, a small HF rig, if I can find one, if the fit, that is. You know, and it's not that I'm big into radio. I'm not the CBer or the ham operator that live and breathe and sleep. You know, radio. It's just like guns. You know, I own guns. I train. I instruct. Been doing it for 40 plus years. But I don't sleep it, eat it, you know, live it. You know, yeah. You know, I carry. Yes. I own. Yes. I go to the range. Yes. You know, but that's not all that I think about. I have a life. You know, and it's the same with the radios. This will be in the truck. And I'm lucky if I turn them on a couple, 2 or 3 times a year. But you know what? They're there for me if I feel like turning it on. Now, I've been on a ham radio, Jesus, since 83 maybe, 84. You know, I kept my license up, but I've been off the air for that long. You know, and then the other day, I feel like getting back into it. Now, I'm all set up. It's been here for 2 weeks. I still haven't talked on it. I'm not done with it yet. Once I put it in the car and I get the antennas and everything tuned in, you know, I'll get a couple checks to make sure everything's working okay. When the CB was hooked up and working, I may have turned it on a couple times a year, and that was only if there was a traffic jam and I wanted to see what was going on so that I know if maybe I should get off, maybe I shouldn't go, you know, is it a 2-mile backup? So you listen to the oncoming traffic, you know, to find out what's going on. But I'm not that, you know, 10-4 and, you know, how about it, Lady Shane, and, you know, how they hanging, you know, and I just don't get into all that. But it's here if I want to use it. That's all it is, and that's why I bought it. When I was on the boat, I had a rig on the boat for a few months, and if we were moored out in the Thimbles, I had a mooring in Thimble Islands. A mooring is a permanent anchor in the ground, in the water. You know, I had a 500-pound mushroom, and it's a permanent anchor. And we would go over there sometimes on the weekend and tie up to it, like on a Friday, and come home Sunday night. You know, just stay there all weekend. You know, there's other boats. You know, we would bring our little tender, you know, the dinghy, or I'd bring the jet ski with me, and then the wife and I would, you know, boat hop. You know, we'd go visit somebody else on the other boat, or they would visit us on our boat, or we'd go into Stony Creek, because the Thimble Islands are right off Stony Creek. And in Stony Creek there was a pizza parlor and little things like that, so sometimes we'd take the jet ski or the dinghy and we'd go in and pick up a pizza. You know, sometimes we'd have the water taxi deliver it, you know, or something like that. But, you know, I mean, it's a fun thing. Now, every now and then, you know, if it was boring and nothing was going on, the wife was reading a book and I had nothing to do on the boat, I would go down below and turn on my HF rig, my ham radio, and I would talk to Iceland, Newfoundland, Italy, France, right there, sitting on the water, you know. And after about 20 minutes of that, I sign off and I'm done, you know. Okay, you know, it was something to do at the time. And that's all it is, you know. I don't get hung up on things big time, you know, but I like to have them there if I want them there. If I want to use it, I know it's there. And that's basically how it is. So, but that's what this is basically going to be. You know, it's there if I want it. You know, if the wife and I are traveling down to Florida or whatever, you know, again, if she's driving and I'm just hanging out and, you know, we're not just in a conversation, I may, you know, turn it this way and see who's down that way, you know, on the trip down. Talk to whoever it is that I'm traveling. If I'm driving and she's reading a book, well, then I'll just turn it this way and I can drive and talk at the same time. And again, you know, just yell out as I'm traveling, talk to people in different states, you know, but, yeah, it's just a monotony breaker. That's basically what it is. So anyway, like I say, now that this is almost done, I'll finish this up tomorrow. And then I'm going to start tuning up the van. I kept putting it off, but I figure as long as this is out of the way, because this is between the seats, in order to tune the van up, I have to take the doghouse off. And anybody knows Astro vans, they're a pain in the ass to tune up. So the doghouse has to come off, which you have to fight to get that out between the seats. So this was definitely in the way. So now that this is out of there, take the doghouse off, and I might as well tune up the van. In order to tune up the van, I have to take the front wheels off as well, because there's a couple of plugs that I have to get from up underneath. So I figure, you know what, as long as I have it apart, you know, I might as well just do the tune up and get it over with. So I called up Napa, and you know, for, you know, the cap, rotor, wires, plugs, you know, and I figured, just let me get that out of the way, and then I'm good for another 4 or 5 years. And then it's done, you know, and get it over with. But other than that, that's about it, guys. You know, I don't mean to bore you with any of this stuff. I just figure I'd keep you up on it. And not only that, but again, I tell you, I've mentioned it a few times. My kids in Florida and things, in Michigan and things. Every now and then if I got a video or I'm doing something, they'll check it out just to see what I'm doing, you know, to stay up and involved. They don't have a channel. They don't even have an account with YouTube. They're not big YouTubers. You know, they say, Dad, you know, we work all day, we're playing with the kids at night. You know, I may get on YouTube if I got to check something out, if I'm looking for something, or I got to find something, or get you know, how do you do this, or what do I think about that? You know, so they may check a video out here and there. He says, but we don't sign on, we don't comment, we don't do all that. You know, he says, but we do check your channel once in a while to see if there's any videos we want to see. You know, so sometimes a lot of these videos of me just bullshitting about nothing and stuff is kind of for them. And you guys are welcome to watch them. You know, like I say, you know, if you can bear and sit through it, good luck to you. So, but that's where I'm at. Now I know I may start doing more of an educational type channel. I know spring is here. I'm thinking about doing something in boating, Boater's Ed. You know, in Connecticut, you have to have a license in order to operate a vessel, anything with a motor on it. I don't know how it is in other states, but Connecticut, you have to take training. It's a whole day course. So I may go through some of that, because I'm an instructor for that. I may go through some of that course outline that's offered and do it in chapters or parts, so that even if you don't need the license, it may give you something to think about, you know. And if you do need the Connecticut license, well, then you can pre-study by listening and watching it, you know. So I'm thinking about doing that. I don't like doing gun education too much, only because I don't know, one, who's watching. I don't want to give information to people that really shouldn't have it. That's why you don't catch me doing a lot of so-called educational or training videos or what how to do this or how to do that on guns, because I really don't want to give out information to people that may not, well, that should have it. Let's put it that way. I also don't want to put out information to somebody that may misinterpret it. I don't want to have somebody get hurt because I'm just blabbing away on something, on my thoughts. So I kind of watch what I do and say when it comes to firearms. But I may try to think of something to work with the firearms, so I'm really not, because a lot of guys, and you do it and I understand, but you start talking about guns and training and what you're doing and do this and do that and this is what I'm doing. You got to remember, there's a lot of newbies out there. There's people out there that may not have the background, may learn a little bit slower than you, and they're not going to think, well, I'm just as good as he is. If he can do it, I can do it. They're not going to want to think that they're a lesser of a man, because they can't do something. And, you may end up getting somebody hurt or killed, So, what is your liability? Now, I have insurance on me when I do classes, all right? But what about these guys that are giving these classes or whatever it is they're doing out there on YouTube? What happens if somebody gets killed because somebody on YouTube showed something that somebody wasn't capable of doing, and they tried it? You know what I mean? Anyway, so you're not going to see too many gun videos on me. I'll show you new stuff when I get it. I may do a couple range videos and stuff like that. I may talk about the guns a little bit if I like it or don't like it, why I don't like it or why I do like it, the pros and cons in my opinion, but you're not going to catch a lot of training so-called videos on my part, other than maybe strictly safety. You follow me? But that's about it, because I don't want somebody to misinterpret it and end up getting hurt. And it's just not worth it to me to have my channel grow over somebody's injury or death, and it's not going to happen. I know who I am. I don't have to prove it to anybody. And I just hope everybody else understands when they're doing these things that some of these people watching these channels may not totally understand what you're trying to get across. Now, I don't like using the word common sense, because common sense to me is your life lesson as you grew up. You don't know that a stove is hot until you experience hot. So when your mother tells you, don't touch the stove, it's hot. Well, okay, she told you don't touch it because it's hot, but what is hot? You follow me? So common sense is what you've experienced in life as you grow. So somebody that's in firearms from, a 5 or 6 year old with their father and grew up with firearms, their firearm common sense is going to be so different than somebody that's never had a gun in their hand and just bought one and took an 8 or 10 hour class in safety. You follow me? So there's a difference there. So you have to pay attention to these things, I mean, that's like me telling somebody that works with guns, let's start taking apart a radio and let's fix it. Well, it's common sense to me. You follow me? But somebody that's never done it, it's not to them. So we got to pay attention to these things, guys. When we do, these training videos, right? Kind of let them know what's going on. And sometimes these little disclaimers aren't really going to work when you say, yeah, just because I'm doing this, I'm experienced in this, because the guy that doesn't have the experience is not going to want to admit that he hasn't got the experience. You follow? So pay attention, guys. But carry on. I'm not knocking anybody for it. It's just that personally, you may not see me doing that kind of stuff. Have a good one, guys.